Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final episode of the 12 Rules for Life series. This is Rule 12: pet a cat in the street when you encounter one. If you haven't seen the series before, pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to summarize each of Peterson's 12 rules and then just give some thoughts on them. Pretty much what this chapter is saying is just, enjoy the little things in life. When things are super hard or things are super stressful, thinking about that issue more is not really going to make you feel better, but sometimes noticing will. Noticing the small things, like when you find a cat and it lets you pet it. It reminds you that even though life may feel just like suffering and pain right now, there is still good in the world and there are still good things to be experienced, even when it feels like you're in the deepest pits. The idea of this chapter actually reminds me a lot of a Hidden Brain podcast I listened to one time called When to Eat the Marshmallow. And in that podcast, they pretty much talked about the marshmallow experiment, which is they gave kids a marshmallow and then the lab experimenters went away and they said, if you don't eat this marshmallow when I come back, I'll give you two. And it was pretty much a test to see how good are kids at delaying gratification. And the argument in that podcast was, like sometimes you should just eat the marshmallow, because if you're always thinking about the future and if you're never taking time to enjoy the present, well, all that work's going to be for nothing, because your life is going to be, you are going to live to work. And then once that work is done, you're going to have nothing else to do. And then you're going to get all confused. You're going to be like, wait, I'm not working? Wait, like, what do I even do? I found this idea that Peterson talked about kind of hard to understand. Basically, what he said is you should love people because of their flaws, not despite their flaws, because of their flaws. And I think what this really boils down to is being flawed is human. And if you aren't flawed, then you can't really love like a human. Like, if you were perfect, why would you ever love anyone who is not perfect? And he brings up Superman in this chapter and how, like, people got kind of bored of Superman when he just could never be beat. And he was just like so overpowered. And it's like, well, I've already seen this. Like, this isn't relatable. Like, he has no challenge. And I definitely don't think Peterson is saying, don't try to fix your flaws. I mean, literally the 11 rules before this were about that. But what he is saying is that what connects everyone, every single human, is that we all have flaws and we all experience pain and suffering. That's just how life is. Another helpful strategy I found that Peterson highlights in this chapter is that when you're dealing with something very difficult, taking a small amount of time each day to allocate for dealing with that problem can be really helpful. So if you're going through some family issue, maybe you could take just half an hour at, say, 6 p.m. and you could talk about it with someone. And then for the rest of the day, you're not thinking about it. Because if all you can do is think about it, it's gonna wreck everything. It's gonna wreck your sleep. You won't be able to work. You won't be able to focus on anything else. But when you have that allocated time for it, okay, at this time, that's when I'm going to deal with it. And slowly and slowly, you'll keep chipping away at it. And the reason I think this strategy is so good is going back to Rule 6. If you, succumb to the stress and you start hating the world and you start hating society, then we all lose, right? Because that's how many bad things happen, when people come to the conclusion that society is just evil. And on that note, this was a very short one, but have a good day, guys. That's it for this series. We're done.